with the multilingual internet, One is the URL and the domain name. When you look at any domain name or any URL, what is the language used there? Whether it is English, Tamil, Chinese, Japanese, that is the one part of the multilingualization. And the second part is the content in that website. So we are going to talk. We will be talking first on the gateway to any website, like gateway to any shop or anywhere when you go. What you see in the shop is the name of the shop or what is the what they sell it and all those. So that is the way the domain name has been developed and the URL has been developed. So we will first talk about that and the URLs and the domains, the language in that part, and plus we will discuss about the contents. So I will start with Mr. Samiran now to give an overview of the whole system, because in ICANN they are the first movers in the multilingualization in the domain names. So I will start with Mr. Samiran. As you know, he is the India chief of the ICANN based in Delhi, and he has worked in this area for a long time in the Neo Brahmi and other organizations, telling us on this kind of thing.
Thank you, Dr. Govind. I'll just take a couple of minutes. I have a short presentation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Will we share it for us?
Thank you. Firstly, let me thank everyone for being here on a Sunday. It's good to see a full house, and and all of you who have come from outside of Delhi. I hope you're enjoying the changing weather and not reading the newspapers about how poor the air quality is. We don't believe that all the time. The multilingual internet, and as Dr. Govind mentioned, there are two parts to it. What I'm going to do is just simply set the table, set the stage, as it were, since we're up on a stage, on what is going on globally, and I'm sure my fellow panelists will add to it with more specific details. This slide gives an overview of where the world was in January 2018 in terms of coverage of the internet. And really what we're looking at is the very first sort of image on the extreme left, which says the total number of active internet users as of January 2018 was 4.021 billion, which means that half the world's population is already using the internet. And it also means that over the last 20-25 years, depending on which timeline scale you're following, half the world has come online, which is a tremendous kind of achievement in terms of how the technology has enabled people to come online. I think the challenge starts now in some sense, because the founding fathers of the internet founded the internet using ASCII, which is akin to the Latin script. Okay, and I think for now we've covered the technology has covered all the geographic areas which can read and write and use that script. Okay, or at least I would be more specific to say people or communities who can read and write and use those scripts. Much closer to home, I am just simply showing you some data that KPMG had shared last year based on some research they had done. And according to the research, by the year 2021, there will be 735 million internet users in India, and 536 million of that number will be using a multilingual version of the internet. In other words, that's the size of the market in India. Now, this is of course some market analysis that KPMG has done, and there's a lot of other data. You can read this if you haven't already seen this research. It's very easily available, it's downloadable online, you can go find it. So, how will all of this happen is the question. So what's happened is I need to very quickly bring you back to the expansion of the top-level domains. When the internet started, there were 7 right of the dot extensions. Over a period of time, and you can again read about all of this online in various locations, it grew to 22. But in the year 2012, it expanded to 1,200. So, you know, the root zone of the internet has gone from being this small to that large, literally. Okay, and there is more happening. And when you see this slide, you'll see some right of the dot extensions which are not in ASCII. In other words, that's where the expansion is also happening. So let's speak specifically about internationalized domain names. IDNs enable people around the world to use domain names in local languages and scripts. IDNs are formed using characters from different scripts such as Arabic, Chinese, Cyrillic, or Devanagari. Interestingly, these 4 are mentioned first as far as ICANN is concerned. These were the 4 that in 2009 a project had started to bring these most used scripts onto the DNS. These are encoded by the Unicode standard and also used and allowed by relevant IDN protocols. A little trivia over here, since this program is under the auspices of Internet Society, I would also point out to you that it was in the year 2000, between 2000 and 2001, that IETF actually accepted this IDN standards. So the point is, these standards on how the Unicode would be used were actually ratified in 2000, between 2000 and 2001, and it was only in 2009 that ICANN started, community at ICANN started talking about it, and therefore that's how it came into being. So the IDN program at ICANN, if you look at the right-hand side of the slide, there are essentially, these are the elements of it. It's a very small team. My colleagues, Sarmad Hussain and Pitanen, are both based in the region, actually run this program globally. And I'm not reading out the slide because it's fairly visible, I would imagine, what are the 7 elements of this program. So this program was instituted in 2009, and thereafter we've seen the expansion of IDN CCTLDs as well as IDN top-level domains. Quick snapshot. This I've already mentioned how India is going to have such a large usage or potential usage of IDNs. These are some of the numbers which were estimated maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And as you can see, the complexion of the internet usage has changed between 2000 and 2016, with China, India, and US being the top 3 countries at this time, very different from what it was 18 years ago. So what has changed with the top-level domains? IDNs, the lower part of the slide shows you the various different characters which are being used, and the most interesting one over there is the Arabic one, which actually goes right to left. So one of the first challenges that was solved was to be able to read TLD right to left, and thereafter, of course, there are many other challenges that I'm sure Dr. Data and Harish will speak about in terms of confusability, similarities, and so on and so forth, and how those are addressed. So I'm not going to go into those specific details. I'm sure they'll cover it. In 2014, NICSI in India, launched .Bharat, which is now available in various scripts. So there are challenges and opportunities of using IDNs, and many of them are captured, or all of them are captured in what we call universal acceptance. And I'll just leave you with a couple of slides on UA. So the key principles of universal acceptance is for anything, any script that you use online, and if it is being used on any system, it should be accepted, validated, stored, processed, and displayed exactly the way it was sent. In other words, if you are sending or if you are searching for something which is in Devanagari, when the search results come out, it should also render exactly the way it is meant to. And this is not only related to IDN, but these challenges could also be in ASCII codes. Again, I'm going to stop short of getting into too much detail over here. I'm sure we'll get time to talk about it. But for every challenge there's an opportunity. And to deal with these challenges is something called the Universal Acceptance Steering Group, which actually addresses these challenges. You can learn more about this by going to that website, usg.tech. A external consultant has estimated that the opportunity of solving these problems or these challenges is worth about $10 billion in business terms as it will open up more and more markets. So with that, I'm going to step off, and I'll just leave you with some references. These are just simply references in terms of you can just go and Google and look up online. Why the new GTL, the subsequent procedures, is important is that it is going to determine the next round of the new GTLD applications, and that the first round was in 2012. By 2016, there was a lot of almost all the delegations took place. About 93% of all the original applications have been delegated. About 7%, there are some issues. Some of them may never get delegated, some might. But the next round, we work with the community, or we continue to work with the community to understand how the next round should proceed, and there are various issues. It's like a review. And if you wish to participate in that process, you're most welcome to. And of course, you can look into the details of label generation rules, UASG and IDNs, all of which are rather available online. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then we will be, for the first round of perspective by each speaker, we will come back to you again for certain questions.
Sure.
Yeah, our next speaker is by Dr. Ajay Data, which is a well-known figure in India and the world. As some of the areas where he worked is Edgen technologies, and where .Bharat and language technologies, not only in Indian languages but the Korean, Chinese and Russian, and he has reached all these neighboring countries. And also, you must be knowing that recently he was elected as a CCNSO member in the ICANN board. And Dr. Ajay Data, I would like to know from you and the audience, how they implement it. Mr. Samiran has set up the stage for the, what are the things happening and how you are implementing these things in your system.
Thank you, Govinji, and thank you for inviting me here. I don't know why I land up as a second speaker after Samiran, 5th time in last 1.5 year. And this is not by, I think not by design, it just so happened. And this is so apt, because he represents ICANN and we are actually taking what ICANN gives us as a route, and we use this as an application. So this is always nice to have him first as a speaker and let him set up the ground and then we take up. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and I think I will not take much time in this. And let us do one exercise. Can somebody answer me which is the correct situation, first, second or third? Let us, I don't know whom or one, what is, Satish, what is? So let us say first, and Jay, you are not supposed to answer it. Yeah. So let us say first. How many hands on first? No noise, come on. Second. Humming. Second. Little better. Third. Unfortunately, the biggest noise is wrong. This is rare, right? Satish, this is rare. When you have the biggest noise, it is wrong, right? This is rare. And the lowest noise is also wrong. So the answer, this is correct. This is not me who is telling this. This is the source which is available. Actually, it is not, it is hidden in the display, but it is available online, and it is available in my presentation if somebody gets this presentation. This is another exercise. I would not request you to do it right now, but maybe you can click a picture or remember it and see that if you want to try to send an email as an exercise and see whether your application or your email system is UA ready, which is going to come later. If you do not have that email address or how to do it, then another exercise which you can do later is install a data mail app, which actually we put it free. And you can get a linguistic email address and try out your applications. So you can just keep this homework for home, basically, and do it whenever you have tea or free time. And just see that you have perfectly. And you already know my email address. And if you want to come back with the result of yours and see whether you are able to do it or not, that will be great. Let's understand domains. I will spend only 30 seconds to tell you that what Samiran has just said. The right side of the dot is known as top level domain name. We all know that. Left side is second level and another is third. So there are two examples right now here. They are valid domain names. Hindi.bharat is valid domain name, which is in Hindi, and cafe123.com is also a valid domain name, of course, which is in ASCII. And we have these domain names available. Let us understand internationalized domain name. It's a brief history. Around 17 years before this, somebody actually thought in 1996, as per Wikipedia, that there should be something like domain name in the language of the user's choice. And they started building, and officially it started around 2000, 2001, and some standards started getting formed, which Samiran was referring to, IETF and other folks started getting into it. And first IDN was made available in 2010 in Arabic. In UAE and Egypt, these countries have 3 TLDs were given in Arabic language first. In India, we got in August 2014 .bharat. That was very visionary for me, and that's actually started my journey. Because when we saw Government of India .bharat, company.bharat, vidya.bharat and sarkar.bharat, these were the domain names given available to the public. So sarkar.bharat, so if you see from ASCII, sarkar.bharat means gov.in. If you see vidya.bharat means edu.in, company.bharat is co.in, and bharat was .in. So it was in parallel to the .in plan completely, and it was given in the script. And these were given in 15 languages, 8 scripts. So just to give you the context in script and language, so Devanagari is a script, and Hindi is a language, Marathi is a language, Bodo is a language, Konkani is a language, Sindhi is a language. So like that, Devanagari was done, and there were another languages. So it covered total 15 languages out of 8 scripts. So today, while I am talking to you, you can actually get a domain name of your choice in these 15 languages. The opportunity. Samiran also shared the brief profile, but this is another slide which internetlivestats.com, on the top it is written there. It has 5 billion people are expected and more language communities to be joined. Basically, the more people which are going to join are from the language specific domain, who are going to consume more language content. They need to come up by breaking the language barrier. And here, if you are an entrepreneur or a professional, my talk is going to be about an opportunity for all of us. How do we make our career grow? How do we become next top professional in the country or a great consultant in the country? How do we bring in, it's like a Y2K opportunity to me. Everybody had an opportunity to solve this problem and serve some companies. And this is exactly the opportunity which is available today. Because next billion people are going to be online who do not know English, and every organization who is serving those community would like to have those customers. So can you help the organizations? Can you convert Flipkart to this readiness of getting next billion people online? You can make a lot of money out of that. You can build your career around that. So my talk is to be taken like that accordingly, so that you can see an opportunity around that and we all can grow. Basically, I want to mention in one context and these people will understand. So somebody told me that there are enough deers, tigers need not to fight. So basically what happens is the opportunity is too large. We all need to work together, not as a competition, as peers. And this is the beauty of this entire opportunity right now. So if you are sharing your knowledge, sharing the opportunity, you are not losing anything because the market is too big. Market is nobody and no single person can serve it. So second thing is email addresses. And that is where my life changed. So in 2014 when Government of India started .Bharat, so I owned 2 trademarks in the country, Data and Ashoka. They were there with me in my personal name. So I get a letter because of the scheme every registry has to follow. Because of the sunrise period, you get an opportunity to block your domain name. So anybody who is allowed to publicly register a domain name, there is a sunrise period which is blocked for 6 months. Only trademark owners can register it. This is always the case whenever a domain name gets open. So I got a letter that do you want to block your domain name of your trademark? And of course, yes, we have invested so much on trademark, let us block a domain name. And I get 2 domain names, Data and Ashoka.Bharat. And I have my own email setup. I try to configure a domain name to get an email and we failed. Because it does not accept the domain name. Because it is in Hindi. Okay, never mind, let us try Google Apps. Failed. Microsoft Exchange, failed. So basically in a nutshell, I went up to the China, Japan, Russia, everywhere we failed. We could not get the hosting of that domain name to get an email address for my own. So what do I do with this domain name? So this gave an opportunity. Why not to build an email solution around? So this made us the world's first company to make a software which can offer you an email address on the IDNs. That is how we innovated, and in 2016 we inaugurated that, and that's how this free email concept came, that everybody can experience it. So the email address looks like this, the way you can see it. Everybody who knows his language can understand that. So look at Bharat. So I'm just extending the case what Samiran just presented. 400 million users on internet, 300 million on mobile, 22 official languages. Consumption of regional languages more than English, which Google and KPMG report says. And last year, it was shown that 18% growth was of language users and 2%, 3% was of English users. So now you know clearly from where the customers are coming in new on the internet. Who are the people who are coming in new? What they want? Basically they want language. and ICANN, World Economic Forum, UNESCO, all are talking same language. That to bring in next billion people online, we need to break the language barrier. And that's an opportunity to break a language barrier. So somebody who is deprived, who cannot access internet just because he do not know English or he is not comfortable to use the internet because of the language barrier, we need to break that and bring him online. It opens up a new world. This is another opportunity. I don't know how many of you know that Government of India has passed the law from May 2018. You cannot sell a mobile phone in India if you do not support 3 languages to write a content and 22 languages to read a content. So this opens another opportunity and a readiness of the country. So because all the mobile phones whom you thought may be having a font problem or a rendering problem, because now the BIS has set a standard, which is our own BIS, and every phone must follow that standard to give you 3 fonts, English, Hindi and a regional language. So if you go Chennai, you must get Hindi, English and Tamil in the phone to write, and all 22 scheduled languages to read a content. So basically the font problem is over, keyboard problem is over. Now what you just need to do is provide an infrastructure. So the base work is completely gone. Our government in Rajasthan, from where we are coming from, our government has given away maybe an election agenda, but 1 crore phones completely free to the citizens. And these people who are given are Bhamasha card owners who are poor, who work in villages, who have never seen a smartphone and got the phone. 1 crore people. So these 1 crore people need a service. This is a new opportunity. Who serves them? Who gives them Flipkart? Who gives them Paytm? Who gives them any other content? And these are all people needed. 22 official languages, as I told you already, and now basically it opens up the new market for all of us because the phones are also now completely ready in everybody's hand. Language barrier is broken, and I guess this is the opportunity we all need to tap on. Universal acceptance. So I already talked about international domain name, I talked about EAI, which is email, I talked about the opportunity in India, and now universal acceptance. That is $10 billion opportunity, which the report he referred to. If you want to write a website, I would strongly recommend you to visit a website called uasg.tech. uasg.tech is a website which is rich in resources, rich in knowledge, brings in another opportunity which is directly linked with USD and IDN and EAI, and lot of documents. I actually referred to professors yesterday I was meeting with, that there is a slide even to take a lecture in the colleges and universities. You can use that slide, you can use the document to convey this in the future, and also do these kind of presentations in these kind of seminars to convey the opportunity and technical knowledge to the people.
Can you repeat the website?
uasg.tech. It is short form of Universal Acceptance Steering Group .tech, TECH. So the 5 criteria which briefly Samiran told: accept, validate, store, process and display. And I would use another example. So I guess you all have a website, either you use it or you own it. If you go today to your website and if you have a contact us page, which probably everybody will have, or a feedback page, or a newsletter. These 3 pages are almost common. Either of one you will definitely have on every website. And if I want to type my Hindi email address in your email box, will you accept it? So the accept form comes here, the first. Will you validate it correctly? Will you store it correctly? Will you process it correctly to send me a welcome email? And when I want it, when you display it back me correctly. You get the 5 points? So if you have a website, do you accept my email address, validate it properly, store it correctly, process it correctly, send me a welcome email, and display it correctly when you want to or when you need to? If you do these all 5 points, you are a UA ready website. You have a UA ready mobile app. You have a UA ready application. If you are not, then what you are missing is the next breadth of the future of internet, which is next billion people online which you are talking to. You don't know you are missing them because the JavaScript will throw an error and you don't know the customer has not turned up and he has not signed up if he has an email address. So how do you trap those customers who has gone? So prepare yourself. So you may yourself take up this action if you're an entrepreneur or a company, or if you are working with some company, go ahead, look at your company website and plan a UA strategy in your company. That your website, your ERP, your CRM, your application all accept that email addresses and domain name into the content, into the records which you have. And otherwise you are missing this large opportunity to deal with. So what we need to do? Go ahead and tap this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajay Dutta. I think what Ajay Dutta said, I think it needs not on lecture, but I think we need implementation. What I would suggest is why not everyone here in this room adopts this local language domain name. Are you all ready for that? Yes. In your own language? At least Hindi or any other. So how to do that?
I think you can go with OS operating system. They started using 1.8, Bharat operating system. Probably after that, you don't find.
I think I would like to know that, to see that all of you communicate at least one or two emails in the local language. And create that kind of environment in your area or work in rural areas and other places where the huge opportunities are lying in terms of this kind of local language domain names and the emails. So if you all determine this pledge you can take here, that the language should not be a barrier for you to communicate with any of the person who is not familiar with English. Will you do that? With a hum, or sound or something. Here I think we don't need hum everyone.
The positive thing.
Positive one. This is a positive hum. I'm not going to hear those kind of sounds. So when can you do this? By tomorrow?
Take care of
I have downloaded that data mail app and
Yes.
it's working quite
Yes, you can download from the database.
It's working
So
as
I think what he said is walking the talk, basically. So basically walking the talk means that app is one aspect of it. That is obviously one way to start, which is no cost, completely free. But if you want to have your domain name, there are many registrars in the country. If you go to Government of India's website, .in, you will get the registrars list. Otherwise, there are many websites which will offer you the domain names in the language you want. Which, like one website which we run is godil.in, on which you get an email address also free because only we provide it. So basically what happens is, if you accept a domain name and put it in your in your advertisement, you see, if you go read a Punjabi advertisement or a Hindi advertisement and the domain name is in English, it doesn't make sense, right? So basically somebody need to break that and also cover this aspect of it. And there is nothing against English, it's about tapping the new opportunity. That's the angle which we need to always remember. There is nothing against English right now. English is also very important. We need not to forget that. We have to continue. We take this opportunity further. Thank you.
Sudha, you will take for the Tamil?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Tamil, Gujarati, Hindi, and in the 7 languages under the Devanagari, and Punjabi, Urdu, and Gujarati. I think these are the 7 or 15 languages which are going to be. So I will urge everyone here to experiment that, see that how beautifully you work on this.
Yeah, I have a question. Why is Malayalam not included?
Malayalam is going to be, I think they have already worked on this. No?
So 5 more languages are on the way. So NICSI and CDAC are working on that. So probably yesterday I talked to the day before yesterday I talked to the secretary that says by December or March they are likely to be there. This is on the way. Malayalam and Kannada are 2 more important are there. Like many more, 5 or 7.
Yeah, 5. So that we will cover all the 22 official languages. And because this is a process, This, I know from 2011 to 14, when .Bharat was adopted by the minister, these were the 4 years work done behind the scene for all kind of things. Yeah.
Had it taken 9 years to come up with the first idea?
9 years to?
Come up with the first idea. So they started.
Not for 3 years.
No, so they started discussions in 2001, 17 years ago, according to the presentation.
Yeah. Samiran will.
So the standards were established in 2001. Okay. Unicode Consortium was formed even earlier in 1978. I think. Okay. Now, at ICANN, we started looking at IDNs because the community wanted them. So it has no link to when the standards were established, but when the community came to us, and it took a few years for us. It was actually it was almost like a test project for the first 4 scripts, and then it was validated and accepted. Okay, so that's why those 4 came first. But now there are label generation rule panels and across the world, including one in India, covering at least the 9 scripts in India, and neighboring countries, in fact, and they are integrating all these scripts into the rules of law. So it's a slow process because ICANN needs the community to work and make this happen. We only create the parameters within which they will work. Yeah.
Thank you, Samiran.
That answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you. I will go to the questions after the Harish presentation. Harish, go for a quick 5-minute presentation.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Samiran, as well as Dr. Data, because they have already covered a lot of slides of mine, and so that would easier my task to complete in 5 minutes. But still, if time permits.
Harish, I want to tell you one thing I missed. I am sorry for that. So sorry for him. UASG announced 2 ambassadors for UA, and Harish is one of them. That's and Ashish Modi is second, but Harish is one of them. So this is very important. Thank you.
Okay, so basically, I would provide information on the current trends, what is actually happening, and how Google, Microsoft, and other companies are thinking about the multilingual internet. And if time permits, I may also share the information on how you could start your email servers using the open source softwares supporting email address internationalization. Or otherwise, you may download my slides, and it will have a lot of information regarding that. So I may start, and I'll skip few slides because they all are covered. So this So now you can see that Gmail supports sending and receiving internationalized emails, which is in the local languages. I think it is clear that there are so many languages are listed. So Gmail is supporting, but the thing, you cannot register at Gmail your local language email ID, but you can exchange mails. Now this is Microsoft Outlook. It is also supporting this local language email IDs. The government of Rajasthan initiative, they have launched mail.rajasthan.bharat, and XGen is providing the technical support for this initiative. So what is the deployment experiences across the globe regarding the email address internationalization? That it is you have to ask your email providers so that they could upgrade the system to support email address internationalization. It is not very difficult. There are few codes and patches which are already available. As soon as they apply the patch on the system, it will be ready. Few sites enable EAI if it is not by default is on, and even fewer sites would disable email address internationalization if it is by default. And there are 4 open source software which are very important, which are known as mail transferring agent, that is Postfix, Exim and Qmail. They are the basic softwares which are used across the globe, except Gmail software as well as the Microsoft mail exchange server, which are used across the globe for sending the mail and receiving the mail. And there is a proprietary solution is also available, which is Exim Plus from India, which is the only service provider which can provide emails in the local languages. So for example, this Aapka Naam @udaharan.bharat Sambhav hai. That means it's possible right now and you can use it. So now I'll come to the multilingualism. Facebook supports more than 100 languages right now compared to 70 languages last year in 2017. And now Google Translate is available for more than 100 languages. Twitter is available for 34 languages, and WhatsApp supports 60 languages, and Instagram 33. So which shows that the multilingual internet is why it is important, because all these big fives are supporting these. So this is the recent news. On August 29, Google sees gold in Indian languages. So now Google come up with a solution called Navlekha. So why we should use these solutions? Is it only for the passion or pride in the language, or is there any advantages in terms of money or incentivization? Yes, there is. Google came up with this support, which is known as Navlekha. So on August 28, Google launched Navlekha, a platform to help Indian language publishers to get on the web. And it is an AI-based solution which could convert any PDF into the editable text, and so that print publishers could generate content in the local languages. And as per the Google, there is a 90% of the country's registered publication, which is 135,000, don't even have a website, because they publish in the local content, and to convert into the digitized format is difficult. So Navlekha would do the task. So, and this Navlekha would also provide a platform so that you could put Google AdSense advertising program. So that's the thing, monetization. Now monetization of the local content is also available. So Google also came up with the Tap to Translate program and Google Go, and it is available in 28 Indian languages. And recently, Mr. Krishna Swamy, Director Public Policy at Google, he said that the searches are also growing at the rate of 4% in Hindi, basically. So Hindi is also, the content is increasing day by day, and searches are also, increasing. Now, Google Assistance is also supporting Marathi, which is the native tongue of more than 80 million people in India. And this, now you can speak in Marathi and it will support. So this is another advantage. And by 2021, over 500 million users in Indian languages, while English users will be less than the half the number. So that means it is the again KPMG and Google survey which shows these results. These are another important statistics regarding Marathi, Bengali, Tamil and Telugu after Hindi. These are the important languages which will be on the internet in few years. And there is one more important operating system which is known as the Indus operating system, which supports 12 regional languages, and Micromax, Intex and Carbon and other mobile companies, they are using the power of this operating system so that they could bring the mobile phone in the native languages. Now you can see the Microsoft. Microsoft is also using the artificial intelligence and deep neural networks to bring so that they could do you can do the real-time translation between English to Hindi, Bengali and Tamil and vice versa. So this is the latest blog on the MSD and Microsoft. You can go and search about it. But there is an issue in e-commerce platforms. They are not supporting it, and where we can put our ideas and innovation so that Indian masses could do the transaction online in their own languages. So this is one of the issue listed at the Forbes.com. You may see about it. So Baidu.com, now I come to the search. Baidu.com showing the result in the Chinese language, and it is displaying all the links as well as the search result in the local script. Okay, so it was a short. I think the presentation is large and time is short, so in the interest of time, I will close.
Anything last.
Okay, so thank you, sir, for some last slides. So web content is more linguistically diverse with IDNs. These are the latest results based upon the IDN World Report, which shows that English, Chinese and Russian, German language, how they are related to the internet and how people are using. But still, there are only 2% of the world's domains which are IDNs, and I hope the number would increase soon. But the total number is 7.5 million IDNs which are present and are in use currently. So these are the resources for developers. They could go to these resources as well as my presentation, which would be uploaded on the website, and this presentation has a lot of slides which would help you to be online in your script. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you, Harish, for bringing a very practical aspects and the global picture scenario of these domain names and the emails. And other thing which I would like to say here is that now we'll open to the questions here because we have 10 minutes now. Yes. Well,
my name is Subhash Chan from the Internet Society. I just sent Dr. Data a message on WhatsApp that I'm trying to send. Yes, I saw that. But I'm just curious if this is a problem with Apple only, or the problem is I was trying to send him an email to the Devanagari based email address, and it didn't work.
It will work if you press a send. Apple shows a false alert.
No, I sent it, it bounced back.
So then you have mail server. So that's the UA issue. So the question is either the Mac is not fully compatible right now, Apple, but Google and Android is, Microsoft is.
But I was trying to send from my Gmail address.
It is an Apple mail client.
Okay.
Apple Mac and Apple Mail client is by March. So we are working with Apple to resolve this. We work with Microsoft also to resolve this when they announced it in February. This is the issue which is on their mail client. But if you use on this Gmail app on your iOS, it should work.
So Gmail on the web works?
No, on the Gmail on the iOS app.
Okay. Thank you.
Pankaj.
Hi, my name is Shashank. My question is to Mr. Gupta and also to Harish. It's a related question. So there are two parts of the problem like Mr. Gupta described. One is the general availability of multilingual content on the internet, and second is obviously IDNs. How are big companies which have majority of the traffic on internet looking at the second part of the problem? Because another study, and obviously the trends also show that the people who are unconnected on the internet so far are people who will mostly consume video-based content moving forward. And also the second thing is that most of the internet consumption as of, again, going forward would be mobile-based and application-based. In this context, maybe the IDN issue becomes a little less relevant because so long as, let's say, the end user is able to open an app which is in his language and access content which is in his language. Whether the IDN is actually in that language or not may not really matter. So are big corporations actually looking at the IDN problem that seriously, or so long as the multilingual content is there, they are not concerned about it?
I thank you for your very layered question. It's got many parts to it. So let me first just share with you that ICANN's role is not to promote or de-promote any technology. We are simply providing safe and secure and stable way of getting to let's say to IDNs in this case. Now the second part is that whether they work, whether there is uptake, whether it is a flat curve or whether it spikes. Again, that is sort of a market-driven thing. What is important from our perspective is when the second round of the new GTLD process rolls around, it should not be that there is a community which wants a top-level domain and we are unable to give it to them because the technology was not great. So I hope that answers some of your various questions. There's this little other bit I'd like to add because you said you wanted Harish to also pitch in, so I'll leave some space for him. But the other thing I'd like to add is that a lot of indie content was not Unicode ready. Okay. And that has been a challenge which I understand from Harish's presentation, what Google is trying to address, or even Microsoft for that matter of fact, so that they are, searchable, taggable, and therefore, they can be of relevance. So I've covered some of your answers, questions.
Where? So you were talking about apps. I basically would answer in this way that for installing an app, you need an email ID at least. Okay, and that email ID is based upon your domain name. So we are talking about people who are not conversant or with the English language. They are not comfortable with it. So even for using app successfully, you need at least a domain and email ID. So I think this would help. To get the answer.
I can add a global knowledge. We launched our services in Russia with an app, considering that it's a appified country just like India, but it is not. So app response is 1/100th less than the web. People prefer to go on web and subscribe to and validate to and check the validity and everything else. Then the people give you access on their phones and to their content, and like we don't care giving access to the contacts, email, sending SMS. In Russia is a little different in my experience.
Yes, Satish Babu.
Thank you. Thanks to the panel for a very interesting presentation. Apologies for bringing up what is necessarily a personal kind of problem. I registered a domain in Devanagari, namaskar.bharat, in May 2016. Then I created an email ID on Ajay's web server. It was Satish in Malayalam script at Devanagari namaskar.bharat. And I was using it, and one fine morning it stopped working. So I checked with Ajay, I checked with Nixie, and I got this mail saying that there is a dispute between Nixie and the registrar, where I had registered this. And subsequently, there has been no progress. So my question is very simple, simply this: when is this likely to happen? And after the dispute is resolved, whenever, will I still have a right to the domain, or will it go again to the open market? Thank you.
So case is in the court, so I would not comment it.
Next,
This gentleman has been waiting for
Thank you. While we are talking about this multilingualism, I think the question was put right for the applications. Now, if you're using apps, that's fine. For a country, that's a very good idea, and that's very needed. In Afghanistan, what we do in government sectors, we are typing out all emails in our local language, and that's really accepted, and that's very appreciated there. But still, in the email address, we're very fine with the English email addresses. Like India has 22 languages, same we have 3 official languages, and of course conflicts are there, and that ethnical or some other things. Now coming to that, for example, if I'm offering an app service, for example, I'm developing an app, and I offer that in 3 languages. That's a local language, and plus 4 English is there. And for a country like India, it again becomes a very huge task to include that 22 languages plus 1 English, 23. So when we talk about optimization, because we're in the applications, or if that's why about application, we are working too much to optimize them, to be frequently loaded in the system. That's one. And secondly, sir, about the Unicode. Now we know that the languages else in English, all of them are patterns, and they're not working on Unicodes. So again, like you said, Bharat or Arabic, that's coming from left to right. So these are the issues. So how do you guys, what are your suggestions for that solutions? For Arabic, you have the solutions. Now Chinese again. And thirdly, if I'm accessing a website, for example, a university website, which is, for example, ABC University.Bharat, and that's all in Indian language. And if that's, available, and I'm accessing from Afghanistan, so that would be a very hectic task for me to remember all those characters to type it. And instead of writing universityabc.com or .edu.n, for example, something like that. So these are the things, because when we are talking about the technology, we are living in a global village, and that's because of the technology. And now again, we are restricting ourselves, and you're not allowing me to access the university, that URL, which is in Hindi, and I don't know Hindi, and I cannot type it. I don't have the keyboard for that. So these are the issues also we have to...
So English is not going away. English is not going away. So when we are talking about the language, if you heard my talk, that we are trying to address people and bring them online who are deprived, not touching the English. English remains there. English, if you are interested to serve the global community, global market, people who understand English, you have to serve. Consider English as one language, and Arabic as one, Hindi as one. And there is no problem for bidirectional issue, which we call it BD. Bidirectional issue of Arabic. You may have a content which is available in Arabic and Hindi at the same time. So it's a bidirectional issue in the same line.
I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about the viewer.
In domain name, there is no possibility of mixing the script. So you have only Arabic or you have only Devanagari.
That's an issue.
So the point is, how can you access? So I think, if I may.
Please.
Okay, we don't have time for next speaker. It says, can we take it offline?
We can. I see a lot of enthusiasm and questions here. The eminent panelists are available during the lunchtime. So I would request the others to ask them whatever they want to ask in this space. Thank you again for the the vibrant panelists here who spoke all aspects of the IDNs and EIs and the multilingual internet. I would like to thank them again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please remain here. Thank you very much, Dr. Govind and the panelists. Very interesting session indeed, very close to my heart as well. I request Neha to come forward and give the gifts to the panelists.
Come.